Hi, my name is Juliana. A lot of people just call me Jules. I am 28 years old and I am a newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic. I live in New Jersey with my fiance and our two perfect poodles. You can see kind of them right there. But when I'm not working, I love to stay active. I love to travel. I travel a lot for work. I'm very blessed to do so. But I also love to travel on my personal time, whether that's solo travel with my fiance, with my friends. I love to hike. I like to really stay active, whether it's hiking, playing pickleball, biking, scuba diving. I love to just continuously keep myself busy. But at the same time, I also love a good Netflix binge. I love sitting and reading. So I kind of think of the best of both worlds. I live probably a fairly average life in the best way possible. But I recently started my TikTok Diabetes Diaries, I call them, because I have honestly so many wonderful friends who were checking in on me, and I found myself just kind of copy and pasting answers after a while because it got a little tiresome. But I am so fortunate to have friends that were checking in and family and whatnot. But I started to create a TikTok account for them so I could say, hey, go check it out over there, but also for my own sanity because it is a pretty life-changing, crazy diagnosis. So being able to just verbalize it and kind of talk it out with myself was really healing, and helped me get to a much happier and more accepting place that I am in now than when I was first diagnosed a few months ago. So prior to diagnosis, I would still say I was a fairly active person. I have always been an active person, but my body has fluctuated significantly. I used to deal quite a bit with some eating disorders, body dysmorphia and whatnot, really since 7th grade. So my body has fluctuated like crazy during, some healthier points, some unhealthier points, etc. But right before diagnosis, I had gotten to a really healthy place mentally and a great relationship with food. That being said, I had moved in with my then boyfriend, now fiance, a few years prior. I had started traveling significantly more for work. So there were some other outside factors, but I did gain, 20, 25 pounds in the past 2.5 to 3 years. But I was still fairly active. I was still lifting weights. I was still, rock climbing, biking, this and that. Maybe my body gained a little extra pounds and a little extra fluff, I like to call it. But otherwise, there were really no red flags or symptoms that I had caught at all. Now looking back, I realized I was like, oh, maybe it was a little extra thirsty. And one night we went out in the city with my friends, and I woke up the next day thinking maybe I just had a few too many espresso martinis and woke up really shaky. Now looking back, I realized that was a diet. Like my blood sugar was just severely low. So at the time, there was really not too many symptoms that I would have, or my friends who are nurses and PAs would have thought, oh, that's a sign of diabetes. It was just, oh, Jules is tired because she traveled on 4 different planes this week and stuff like that. So there was really no reason for my providers, for me, for my friends who are healthcare providers to really think, oh, diabetes is why, maybe she's gained a little bit of weight or a little extra thirsty or anything like that. I also don't have any family history. I am adopted. I was adopted at 15 months old. So I don't have a genetic history. I did 23andMe. I was mostly looking for the BRCA gene because I'm very well aware of that. I do work within oncology. But other than that, I didn't really know what I should be looking for. I didn't understand the predispositions and then the genetic dispositions that Asians have over some of my other friends who are not Asian. And so I didn't know how to properly advocate for myself. And I don't think that my primary care physician was fully up to date on the current standard of care for diabetes care, management, prevention, or anything specific to, quite frankly, a Chinese patient. Right before the diagnosis, I was in probably the best mental state that I had been in. I had the best relationship with food at that point. I was still eating healthy. I've always been someone who wants to eat a lot of protein. I love to lift weights and fuel my body that way. But it's funny because I'm not a sugary eater. People always, my friends will tell you, if we're at a restaurant, it's water with lemon. That's the only thing I'm ever gonna order. When I'm home, I drink milk and water. So I don't really eat ice cream. I don't eat sweets. I don't do any of that. Carbs has really been the biggest thing that I've had to cut back on and be a little bit more cognizant of now with this diabetes. But even before then, if I made myself a bowl of pasta at home, I measured it out. I was eating the 2 ounces that a normal serving size calls for. So my relationship with food was in a very good place prior to the diagnosis, and navigating it with my prior history of eating disorder or disordered eating has been a little bit of a challenge, but I've certainly gotten to a place where I feel a lot more confident going forward. So the day that I found out, I was on my way to trivia. I was gonna go meet some friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and I get a call from my life insurance. They're like, hey, by the way, we cannot insure you. You are severely diabetic. Your triglycerides are in the 800s. Your sugars are in the 400s. We very much, suggest that you go to the hospital immediately. And these numbers didn't mean anything to me. I work in urology and OB-GYN, so if I was a man and they told me my PSA, I would have understood immediately. But this was not something that I understood at all. Like I said, my best friend is a nurse. My two future sister-in-laws are NPs, PAs. So I do have a lot of personal resources along with a lot of resources at work because I do work in the healthcare industry. So I was very fortunate to be able to lean on quite a few different people and ask, what does this mean? What is going on? But my first initial reaction, I cried. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was in hysterics. I was like, did I do this to myself? There's so many misconceptions about diabetes and things that people don't know. I only knew there were two types. I didn't know what the two types were. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I know I gained weight in these past few years, but I had no idea it had gotten that bad. And I was really harsh on myself. I was really upset with myself. And it was just so jarring because I had for so long, my entire life, never gone to the hospital, always been supposedly healthy. There's never been any red flags in my charts. And then all of a sudden I get a call from a life insurance company, no less, saying, you have a life-altering, life-changing, and permanent disease. So definitely a lot to take in. And mind you, I had also gotten engaged 4 days before that, and my 29th birthday was 2 days after. So I was like, oh, great. I think, maybe the universe is trying to balance out all the happiness. Jokes aside, though, it was really tough and just a total shock and kind of slap in the face, if you will, because again, didn't think I had any symptoms. I didn't have any yellow flags saying, hey, maybe you should go to the doctor and get checked out. I was going to go in for my physical in a few weeks because that's just how it goes. But I'm glad that I was trying to seek out that life insurance and I was able to catch it. I can't say early because my A1C was 10.3, so it was very wildly and uncontrolled. But there are worse A1Cs. We caught it and now I'm managing it. Like I said earlier, I am very fortunate to be at the healthcare industry. So I have great connections with different physicians and different specialties. So I was able to get into a concierge endo right away. Unfortunately, that endocrinologist she and I just didn't mesh well. And I think a lot of that was because she was virtual and I'm a salesperson. I'm a rapport builder. Like I want to be with someone in the room, especially with something so life-changing. And so we met. She prescribed me some insulin, metformin, this and that because my levels were just so high. She was like, we have to do something immediately. But it just ultimately wasn't the kind of care that I needed in that moment and going forward. So I ended up switching providers. I'm now seeing this wonderful endocrinologist at Thomas Jefferson. I got a new primary care physician. My PCP actually that I had been seeing for my entire adult life has since retired. Regardless, I was going to find a new PCP because I wasn't getting the healthcare that I know I should have been getting now looking back, but that's okay. No ill will. We're moving forward, onward and upward. I also had gone to the ER the day after my diagnosis because I was having really bad stomach pains. And my endo had said at the time, you are at extreme risk for pancreatitis. If you have any of these symptoms, you need to go get checked out. I did. It turned out to be gas, thankfully. But the level of care that I got from the PA at the ER was just there was a lot of really bad bedside manner that I had dealt with. When I went to the pharmacy the first time, I'm terrified of shots. I've always been my entire life. Now I have to give myself a shot every single day. I didn't have a great experience with the pharmacist. I just think they were having an off day. And I will say a few weeks later, I went back to that same pharmacy for something else. And that pharmacist pulled me aside and apologized and said, I was really having an off day and I'm so sorry for the way that I talked to you and interacted with you. So I very much appreciate that it meant the world to me. But I think that like physicians and doctors and healthcare providers in general are so used to seeing diabetes that they sometimes may forget that this is terrifying for someone like me or anyone that's diagnosed anything like that. So just a little bit more empathy, I think, would have gone a long way, especially in those early few days of being diagnosed, especially because I had gone from this extreme high of being engaged, my birthday's coming up, to now I can't have any cake on my birthday. I can't drink any like a lick of alcohol to celebrate my birthday. Like I can't do anything. I basically can eat chicken and broccoli and a little bit of brown rice. So it was just, which normally I would be fine with, but it was my birthday weekend. And so it was just a lot of information and not great information to get on your birthday weekend and stuff like that. But it is what it is. So the next step after confirming that, I was indeed diabetic and the labs had not been switched, because that was also something that came up, was, I didn't really fit the bill necessarily of a type 2 diabetic. So maybe the labs were switched. They were not. I am definitely diabetic. Here's my GCM. But then I had to wait about 2.5, 3 weeks to figure out if I was type 1 or type 2. They took quite a while. I don't know what that was about. It is what it is. A lot of my doctors thought it was type 1. They were like, it's definitely type 1, just prepare yourself. It's okay. It's manageable. It turned out to be type 2. So I'm not gonna lie, I breathed a sigh of relief. Type 1 is a whole other beast, and I have so much respect for everyone dealing with, dare I say, the silent disease. People don't realize, and I certainly didn't, how much diabetes truly affects your day-to-day, especially for type 1, but type 2 as well. I mean, there's so many changes that you have to implement and so much that you have to learn and new ways that you have to advocate for yourself and find the right fit for a physician for you and whatnot. But that period of waiting was definitely scary because I didn't know what to expect. I did a lot of research on both type 1, type 2. I also travel a lot for work. Like I was on over 60 individual flight legs for work last year. So I was like, I'm going to have to learn how to travel with insulin. I'm going to have to do this. I don't know if I can go through the scanners because it might affect if I have to pump, it might affect a pump, it might affect a GCM. So I was doing so much research, and again, thankfully it is type 2. So it's a lot more manageable and a lot less preparation for when I travel, because I don't have to bolus. I don't have to do, have a pump or anything like that. It's a lot easier for me as a type 2 diabetic at this point in time. Then finding out it was type 2, I was like, okay, so again, that stigma and that little voice in my head came back of, you did this to yourself. Like, you got here because you were not eating right, and you kind of slipped out of your healthy habits and you weren't exercising as much. And that's just absolutely not the case. There's so many genetic components to type 2 as well, not just type 1. And that's something that I absolutely didn't realize. And it just took a lot of research on my part to understand what the hell was going on. And so when I saw my new endo and he confirmed that it was type 2, he was actually the one to sit me down. He was the first healthcare provider to say, this is a genetic disposition of Asian folks. You carry your visceral weight differently than some of your friends who are not Chinese. And while BMI is kind of iffy, BMI is still a good indicator of when you should start testing for pre-diabetes and whatnot. So I learned that as a Chinese person, if once my BMI was 23, that's when they should have started testing for pre-diabetes, as opposed to some of my friends. You can go a little bit longer and have a higher BMI before you start to get into that risk category. So just learning all of that, I was so thankful for my new endocrinologist, who really sat me down and explained truly, like, this is not your fault. This is very much because of your unknown family history and your genetics. And unfortunately now we just have to go from here, and again, it's still manageable. So it's a good outlook. It's just a new outlook. So being an Asian being an adoptee in general, sometimes you're not going to have access to your health records, especially as a Chinese woman. Our records are pretty non-existent. So I had never really thought about that before. I was very well aware of the BRCA gene. I did test myself for that, but outside of that, there's really not much patient-focused education and advocacy that goes out, or at least that I've seen, that tells, women or tells adoptees or anyone, hey, not just the BRCA gene, but this as well. So I just wish that not only did patients know how to advocate for themselves better, but physicians as well. My primary care physician, who was a lovely guy, man, I should say, but he was very nice, but he was older. He has since retired. But I had even asked him, hey, my friend just got her blood drawn. Can I get my blood drawn? Like, is that covered under my insurance? He goes, you can if you want to. You don't really need to. You're fairly healthy. We don't really start doing that until you're like 40 or 50. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, I'll write you labs. If you want to go for it. It's up to you. So I was like, oh, I don't really need to. That's okay. My doctor says I don't need to. And I just let life get away from me. And you know how that goes. Now looking back, I really wish I had. Maybe we would have caught something a little earlier and it could have been a bit more proactive. But again, I can't dwell. But I do wish that healthcare providers, especially primary care physicians and the ones that, younger folks are seeing more often, stayed a little bit more up to date on the standard of care and also knew what to specifically look for in their different patient populations. There are pre-genetic dispositions for different ethnicities, and we need to be able to look at the individual and understand some factors that may contribute to their overall health that are tied to their ethnicity. It's a delicate subject, but race does exist, and we do need to take that into consideration in a healthcare perspective, and that's not a bad thing to do when you're doing it in the right way. I would say to someone that, feels like that it's their fault. I mean, for me, it's very easy to play the blame game and say, well, you should have gotten your labs done. He wrote you the labs. You could have done it. You didn't. You let time slip away. And you could have looked this up. Yes, I could have advocated for myself better, but at the same time, you don't know what you don't know. It's like going into a new job and they say, so any questions? I don't know what questions to ask. This isn't my job. This isn't, we rely on our healthcare providers to understand the genetic dispositions of different races and ethnicities. We depend on them for health advice and to guide us through different treatment pathways. And yes, we should advocate for ourselves and maybe trust but verify, but it's not your fault, especially if you don't have a family history. You have no idea what you're looking for. You're going in with a blank slate. So just be kind to yourself. Everyone says, oh, be kind to others, treat others how you want to treat yourself. But I think people also forget, treat yourself how you treat others. You're showing all this kindness and forgiveness to other people. Forgive yourself. It's okay. You might be put into a tough situation. No, I don't think anyone on this earth would say, yeah, you know what, I'll take the diabetes, sure. But we move through it. It's a little bit of a lot. It's adversity that we do have to overcome and we have to work through, but be kind to yourself in that process because you can do it. You absolutely can. Just find the right support system and be kind to yourself and find a healthcare provider that you mesh with, that hears you, sees you, and gives you the space to feel what you need to feel during this diagnosis process, so that you can get to a place where you can advocate for yourself, be kind to yourself, and ultimately give yourself the best care and follow the advice that your healthcare provider is giving you. As I had said earlier, I also had a long history of body dysmorphia, eating or disordered eating, etc. Starting back from when I was 7th grade, I was counting calories. I remember I was on a 900 calorie diet that I put myself on. So I had finally gotten to a place of feeling very healthy and confident with my relationship with food, kind to my body. I wasn't necessarily super confident because I gained a little bit of fluff, but I was happy with myself and I was forgiving towards myself, and that was more important to me than looking skinny, for lack of better words. So now being diagnosed with type 2 and being told you need to lose weight, you need to be counting calories, you need to be looking at macros, you need to be doing all of this. It's obviously not the easiest thing for someone with a history of disordered eating to hear. I didn't, and especially with the misconceptions and whatnot of GLP-1s. One thing that I really appreciated with my new endocrinologist was he said, how much weight do you feel comfortable losing? After I explained to him my history with disordered eating, it's like, how much, you do have to lose weight. You are type 2, and the easiest way to start managing that is to lose weight. But how much do you feel comfortable losing? And then I explained to him, what I was doing at that point. It had been 3 weeks since I saw my first endo, so I had already started to lose a little bit of weight, but I was upping my physical activity. I was eating much cleaner and stuff like that. So I said, I was like, I really don't want to go on a GLP-1. I'm very well aware of the side effect profile, but I'm also aware of myself and my history with disordered eating, and I worried I would take it too far and I wouldn't know how to stop. And there were just a lot of mental barriers to me wanting to go on a GLP-1, aside from the fact that there was also a physical side effect profile. So my endo agreed with me. He said, based on what you're telling me, if you're telling me the truth, I don't think you necessarily need to go on now. Let's, give yourself 3 or 4 months. See me back in July. Let's see what you're able to do. And I can proudly say I've lost about 8.5 pounds or so. I'm doing very well with still, with upping my physical activity, being more mindful about what I'm eating and what, how much fiber and veggies and whole grains that I'm eating and stuff like that. But it was definitely a little challenging at first because I had finally gotten to the point where I did not feel like I needed to count calories. And now I needed to lose weight. I needed to stick to a system, and I knew that this system worked for me. So I did download an app to help track my calories. I started to get into that mindset, but because I needed to lose weight, I couldn't just eat intuitively anymore. I know that doesn't work for me. But the way that I thought about it was, the goal here is not to be skinny. The goal here is to be healthy. It is to manage my blood sugar, make sure my spikes aren't crazy, they're within reason, and shifting that mindset from wanting to be skinny to wanting to be healthy, that's okay. And that really helped me, because I think also there's a big stigma around losing weight. And when you tell people you're trying to lose weight, their first thing is, oh, no, you don't have to lose weight. You look great. You look wonderful, which I appreciate. Thank you. But for me, at this point in time, being healthy means losing weight. And I don't think that's a dirty word. And I don't think and I think we've accepted body positivity in such a way that it's almost become a little scary to admit that you're trying to lose weight, because people are like, no, you look great, etc., etc. And I was just having this conversation with a good friend of mine who's, she's also on a weight loss journey, and it's not a bad thing to want to lose weight if that's what healthy means. So that being said, I've been doing really well. Last night I went out and saw 2 of my friends who I studied abroad with. I haven't seen them in quite a while. We had a great night. We went to dim sum. I let myself have some fried rice. I had chicken and broccoli. I had a very well-balanced meal. My blood sugar spiked a little bit, but not more than I expected. And now I'm back home. I'm back in New Jersey. I had a nice egg white omelet for breakfast. I had a very healthy lunch. I'm still taking the necessary steps to make sure that I'm eating enough fiber, eating enough vegetables, packing my plate in a way that's going to be healthy and sustainable for weight loss, but for also blood sugar management. And so I would say, I'm very proud of myself. I was a little nervous having to start counting calories again and what that would mean for me mentally. But truly, it's been great, because I knew that I wanted to start losing weight anyway, because now I'm getting married. I was like, I want to feel and look great. And while I was feeling great, I knew I had gained a little bit of fluff, and I wanted to just get back to a little bit more leaner of myself, that I felt comfortable with. And the diabetes, believe it or not, was kind of a great catalyst. It was like, well, now you have to. So you have no other choice. There's no excuse. There's no just, I'll work out tomorrow. You have to do it. You have to, or at least for me, I have to be healthier. I have to change my habits. I'm aware of that. I can't just sit here and feel sorry for myself and be like, well, I'm going to throw in the towel. I want to be healthy. I want to keep my time in range in a reasonable and even beyond reasonable range. I told my endocrinologist, I said, I'm going to be the best patient you've ever seen. Trust me, believe it. I'm going to be great in time and range. I'm going to do everything I need to do and so it was tough to hear, and I was worried about how I would manage having to get back to a little bit more of a restrictive diet, but I think I know that I've been doing very well. The I've been feeling a lot more confident in myself. I've been feeling stronger in the gym. I'm lifting heavier. And ultimately, my blood sugar has been having less crazy spikes. My time in range has been, significantly more than it was when I first started. And I'm really proud of my diabetes management. And I am so thankful that I found healthcare providers that, again, took the time to sit down with me and explain the genetic predisposition that I had and listen to me and make me feel like I'm not just another patient, that I am an individual who has a history of disordered eating, who has no family health history, but at the same time, that's okay. And we can move forward and we can put a management plan in place and get this under control. So now where am I today? I take my basal insulin every morning. I take my metformin at dinner. And like I said earlier, I think I know I'm doing really well. My time in range is really good. It's the past 2 weeks, it was at 99%. So I was so excited about that. It was at 100, and then I went out for a hot pot and it went out of range a little bit, and I was a little upset. I let myself be sorry for like 30 minutes, and then I was like, no, you can't. I have to still live my life. I still have to enjoy myself. I went out with my sister. It was a wonderful bonding experience. So I realized being upset that I was out of range for an hour is just silly. I still need to live a sustainable lifestyle while at the same time still being healthy. So right now I am on basal insulin once in the morning, and then I take metformin at night. And honestly, it's been wonderful. I decided to take my basal insulin at 7 a.m. I don't know where I came up with that time, but it kind of tied me into waking up early, which is something that I've always wanted to be a morning person. I just didn't have the willpower to do it. But now I wake up, I work out, I take my insulin, and it's been wonderful because now I have no excuse to not get my workout done. I just get it done right at the beginning of the day, and I have a great start to my day because I always feel, great after a workout. I'm just feeling a lot more confident in my body. I've started to lean out a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more back to where I was when I was definitely like my more lean self. So I'm feeling a lot better that way from an aesthetics perspective. Again, that's not necessarily my goal, but it is a side effect of course, losing weight. But I'm also feeling so much stronger. I'm fueling my body better. A lot of times before the diagnosis, I would have like a piece of pizza for dinner, and I was like, well, whatever. I just don't feel like cooking or whatever. But now I'm just fueling my body in a much more powerful way. And so I can see the weights going up in the gym. I'm feeling so much better about it. So I am really excited to continue on that path and get back to my like weightlifting roots, if you will. A big distinction for me is, diabetes doesn't define me, right? So when I introduced myself, initially I filmed it as, hi, I'm Juliana, I have, type 2. I was diagnosed with it. I do have it, but that is not all that I am. I'm a very diligent worker. I'm a great friend. I like to think so. There's so many other things that define me other than the diagnosis that I have. Yes, I've had to change the way that I live and operate and the food that I put in my body and the way that I think about going out to eat now with friends and this and that. But it still doesn't define who I am as a person. It's not who I am. I'm Jules, and I just happen to also have diabetes. So I'm still doing all the things that I love. I went scuba diving in Aruba. I went on a 7-mile bike ride through the mountains. It was beautiful when I was in Greece. I'm still being the active person that I love to be. But now I'm just a little bit more mindful of how I fuel myself and, maybe when I participate in activities and whatnot. The most important thing that I want, someone who may be in my place, as an Asian person, as an adoptee, is just to be kind to yourself. And I know I've said that 10 times over throughout this, but truly you need to just forgive yourself. It's very easy to shoulda, woulda, coulda any situation. But at the end of the day, like, you're human. Yes, this is a little bit more adversity than you may want, but you can do it. You are strong. You are wonderful. You have lived your entire life up to this point being an incredible person. And just because you have a diagnosis, that doesn't change anything. You can still be the strong, amazing person that you are, while also managing diabetes, whether that's type 1 or type 2. I guess anyone recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, regardless of your family history, regardless of your race or ethnicity or gender or anything, just be kind to yourself. It's not your job to educate others on the misinformation on type 2 diabetes, but I will say that when people do ask you, if they are truly coming from a place of curiosity and kindness, that's okay too. There's so much misconceptions about type 2 diabetes. So do the research, get a diabetes educator, find a physician that you mesh well, is going to hear you, see you, give you the space for this diagnosis, but ultimately help guide you and where you need to go, just mentally and physically. But be kind to yourself, be kind to others if they have questions, and just know that there's a whole incredible support system, whether you find it on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit. The internet has quite a lot of negativity, but it also has an enormous amount of positivity. And if you can find those pockets and find that support, it's gonna be incredible what you find and how you're able to connect with others and go through it together. So good luck on your journey. I'm rooting for you.